Hey guys, welcome to MoveU Unfiltered, transforming the way you connect with your body and reigniting that winning mindset that guides you back to the active life you love. Hey guys, welcome to an awesome episode of MoveU Unfiltered. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Wassilison, here without my co-host, Andrew, who barely does anything on this anyways. And I'm here today with an amazing guest. He's the founder of VIVO Barefoot shoes. And you guys all know how much we love VIVO Barefoot. And in Galahad, just so everyone knows, just to set the story straight, I started wearing Vivos 3 years ago, and I've just fallen in love. And I've fallen in love because the human body is designed to work and perform as minimalist as possible with nothing, really. And your shoes are amazing training tools to keep the body functional, to help strengthen the feet, arches, performance that goes all the way up the chain. And so thanks for joining. We love what you're doing, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here, and with a VIVO fan, and I listened to your podcast on feet, and so I know we're starting at a high level here already.
You know what though? My job, Galahad, is this: is we stand for the people. That's what we stand for first and foremost. So my job is to make things as simple as possible, so an 8-year-old can understand them or an 80-year-old can understand them. And I know you guys do the same with your shoes. You keep it as simple as possible. So love everything you guys do. And Galahad, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Galahad?
Yeah, Galahad, yeah.
Are you
Galahad, yeah. Just as phonetically, yeah.
Are you an MD by background?
No, that means managing director in England.
I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, I'm barely that by background either, but I'm certainly not an MD. I'm just a humble cobbler.
There was one of my favorite comedians, Mitch Hedberg. He talks about Dr. Scholl's. I'm sure you've heard of Dr. Scholl's.
Yeah, of course.
And Mitch Hedberg's one of his jokes is he goes, Dr. Scholl's a doctor. That meant he went to school for a long time. And it doesn't take a doctor to figure out that walking on a cushion would be more comfortable. He goes, I would have bought that shit from Mr. Scholl. But yeah, actually, we're not a supporter of Dr. Scholl's.
No, but funnily enough, actually, a friend of mine got hold of some of Dr. Scholl's early sort of writings and books that he wrote, and he wasn't that far off. It's in the beginning, the business obviously just got taken off in different directions by money men along the way. So, but Dr. Scholl's himself, I think, actually was off on the right track.
What was he working to accomplish at the beginning?
Just foot health, and he was not far off the principles I'm sure we're going to talk about today, and sensory feedback from the feet and strong, healthy foot shape, and actually published quite a lot of interesting work on how the foot works, and how to regain its natural strength and mobility.
Wow, that is amazing.
But obviously, his business got rather taken off in a different direction as I guess the capitalists took over.
That's the politically correct way of saying it.
I get the feeling we're going to not worry too much about political correctness.
Galahad, I'm at a point where my job is to empower as many people as possible to take ownership in their body, and that involves, and I do understand that a certain language type can hit the majority, but I tend to play in the gray area with being socially, politically incorrect, but it resonates with a certain group pretty hard. But I'm doing my best to improve without losing my passion. That's what I'm working to do.
Well, I mean, one of my favourite comedians, talking about comedians, is the American Bill Hicks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who spent a lot of time in England as well, actually, but who's sadly no longer with us. But he spoke a lot about bringing the power back to the people and language.
Very controversial comedians from the 70s. Yeah, game changer. I think it was 70s,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. What is, to switch, and Galahad, I've got the worst. In high school, I thought I was going to win the award nicest car and funniest, and instead I won Space Cadet and most likely to be late. The point is I bounce around topic to topic, so hopefully you can bear with me a little bit here. Maybe you could even create some structure.
Did you say late or laid?
Late. Definitely not the third one. So here's what I'm curious is that the history of how did, you get Reebok, you get Nike, you get all these mainstream shoes, and when did this whole cushioned shoe revolution, when did this begin, that more support was better? Like when did that start and why?
Yeah, I think, interestingly, there was a lot of really good science around barefoot and natural foot function at the turn of the last century. Especially, you probably heard of people like William Rossi. And actually, shoe companies were quite into the idea of natural foot function. Not least my old family firm, who ran an advertising campaign in the late 19th century called Hygienic Boots and Shoes. Literally speaking about how one could regain their natural foot shape and just by wearing foot-shaped shoes. It was literally in the late 19th century.
Wow.
Sort of away from Victorian cosseted hobnail boots and such. But I think something obviously happened in the 20th century where mankind went on this, obviously all got into a big fight with each other, but also went on a mission to try and emancipate themselves from nature, and science and technology seemed to suddenly take over, and it was all about conquering nature. And I think the padded shoe phenomenon and underfoot technologies, is part of that. I think it's fair to say that Nike was really probably led the way, because the Converse All Stars and even the early Adidas shoes were really not padded at all. And it wasn't until Phil Knight got hold of Asics and Onitsuka Tiger way in the 60s that I think genuine padding started to come into the shoe industry. And funnily enough, I admire Nike as a company, but it's just a shame that it was just built off the wrong paradigm.
So that's interesting. I actually just wrote a little note down, and I follow. I don't know if you follow North American football, NFL, and there's so many lawsuits now happening with head injuries. And when football started back in the 60s, they just used a leather helmet, and just like rugby. And when you only have a leather strap on your head, guess what you don't do? You don't whale your head into somebody else's head. You just don't do it. Yeah. And there's a striking similarity to that in cushion shoes. And I'm moving topics a little bit, but I just thought
we use that analogy a lot.
Oh.
And if you wear a helmet and someone bashes you over the head, you can handle it. And you might wake up the next morning with a really sore neck, but if you take off the helmet and someone starts bashing you over the head, you get them to stop pretty damn quick.
Wow, you've actually used that analogy. Okay, you're steps ahead. You guys have been in the shoe industry for, I saw, 7 generations.
Yeah, but that business also lost its way, frankly, and got obsessed with air and padding and foam and underfoot technologies, and along with the rest of the shoe industry. There's no evidence that any underfoot padding or technology reduces injuries at all.
I mean, just from a logical standpoint, I mean, we just look at. I really try. That's the challenge now with science. Is like I truly, with any research articles even do come out, I'm just so questionable about who paid for that research, and from a logical standpoint, just like adding padding for comfort, anything you add for comfort in life is a quick fix, and that comes with a long-term consequence. So if you're going to wear even a back brace, you get this quick comfort. But what you lose in the long run with it is something completely different. And so going to the next part.
Well, I choose my words carefully. We're completely aligned there.
Say that again?
We're completely aligned around that one.
Oh, you're completely aligned around that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I've been reading about your vision, mission, and I've just been in love with your company. Really, I love your company so much. I just try to send as many pictures as I can. I literally go to the top of Mount Whitney. I'm taking pictures of my VIVO Barefoots, and I'm like sending them in. I'm like, my job. I love what you guys do so much, Galahad. I'm like, I'm going to promote the hell out of you because I believe, and it's such a connection with. I think there's some room as well to go VIVO Barefoot technology in a workplace in like a stand-up work environment. Like I see a relationship with that. Because you get VIVOs in huge workplaces. I mean, I don't know if you're going that direction at all, but just to get people to use their feet during the workday.
No, I mean, that's what we're trying to make as big a deal about that as possible, honestly. And we do now produce a whole range of shoes for everyday work. And, we almost say to people, look, we don't care what you run in or what you do, exercise in a few hours a week. What's much, much more important is what you spend 90% of your time in, and just walking around and standing around with your feet being allowed to move naturally is much more important than what you're using to do exercise, or what shoes you're using to do exercise in. So, just letting gravity take its course is the most effective way just to get natural, healthy foot function back.
Love that. We talk about... regarding just success in general, I'm sure you would agree that success starts the second you open your eyes in the morning, and it ends when you lay down in bed that night. It's how you think during the day. It's the thoughts that become actions. And regarding foot pain, foot injuries, foot health, foot strength, that just around the foot only, it's no different with body movement than it is success. It starts the first step that you come out of bed and you hit that ground. What is your foot doing? And every step, Mount Whitney was 44,000 steps. I was connected to my foot every single step. And with barefoot shoes, when you're wearing cushioned shoes, you're not connected. The body naturally gravitates towards comfort, naturally. So if you wear a back brace, the cord just shuts off. It's just what happens. We're going to gravitate towards it. So the cushioned shoes, when you wear those, you can fight through that, but it's highly unlikely. It's very likely that you just allow the shoe to do the work instead of the muscles, which has long-term consequences, which is why barefoot shoes, Vivos, that's what I love about this. And what I'm really curious about, Galahad, is I'm sure you've told your story a million times, but I'm sure it's amazing because you had to go through so much adversity to bring this brand, because you're really the first company I know to bring barefoot shoes. I know Merrell's doing a good job of branding themselves, but they're not all barefoot like you. You guys have decided to stick with 100% barefoot. And what's that been like for you in terms of the adversity you've faced throughout the process and staying true to what you believed? Could you describe that mindset and what it took to get you to commit to making the shoe in 2004, and the adversity you faced along the way?
Yeah, I think, like you said about humans just leaning towards comfort and things, business is the same. We're all lazy hedonists at the end of the day, and if we can find a quick, efficient way to, hit a year-end result or whatever, or just, achieve a bit of comfort, then, in Vivo's case, started when a childhood friend of mine actually came to me with the idea. It wasn't my idea, but Vivo and the shoes. And he had a pair of Nike Hirachis where he cut off the sole and just stitched on a sort of tennis racket cover of the sole instead.
What year was this? When was this?
What?
When was this? What year?
This was about 2004.
Okay.
And, I just... And he'd taken it round to a couple of big shoe companies who'd all laughed him out of the room. And I just instinctively loved the idea. I'd grown up kind of in the countryside and by the sea. And not really understanding anything about the science or the biomechanics behind it. And we just instinctively loved it and started, and I was probably naive and young, dumb, and full of, all the good stuff. We'd give it a go. And one thing led to another, and we started developing the shoe together. The very first Vivos had a zip around them. The idea was the sole was so thin that you could easily repair it, and it was also the only shoe you'd ever need. So whatever kind of look or feel you wanted, you could easily zip it on, zip it off. And like all those ideas, it didn't really work. Sort of shorts that turn into trousers or sofa beds. They're not very good sofas or beds. And
okay.
So that kind of, we're now it's about 2008. By the time we finally made a pair of Vivos without the zip around it, and we're just sort of starting to, and then, a funny thing happened. It started off as a sub-brand of another brand that I was doing. And people just started writing in. We found ourselves wearing them all the time and not wearing anything else. And customers just started, writing in with almost kind of biblical experiences of how they, had terrible back pain or whatever, and just started walking around with less shoe, and the whole body had started working better again. So it was, truth, probably not till about 2008, 2009 that we really started learning the science and the biomechanics behind everything. And also that was about the time that Born to Run came out. And then we went on a real journey, sort of meeting all the leading doctors and surgeons and biomechanists and all people associated with this. And the more we learned, the more we believed in it. And it was interesting because the industry reacted in waves, like you said, that some companies came out with pretty good barefoot shoes and then kind of got cold feet, so to speak, and then all of a sudden they were back in padded shoes again. Some startups came out with really good barefoot shoes, and then after sort of 2 years suddenly introduced loads of padding. Actually Ultra is an example of that, where the first Ultra shoes and the founder of Ultra, who I know, that they were really perfect barefoot shoes, the very first Ultra shoes, but the business didn't quite work, and an investor came in and insisted that they put loads of padding in to get the business working, and the business did work, but ultimately they had a compromised shoe, obviously, as far as we're concerned. And
right.
I don't know. We were just, we nearly went bankrupt a couple of times, and we were just, we had our main educator was a guy called Saxby, who's one of the toughest, single-minded badasses you'll sort of ever meet.
Sweet.
But also one of the best educated scientists you'll ever meet, I think. And with, whenever we went around the world and we met challenges, we just, his principle and his guide always felt more powerful and clearer and stronger than anything we ever heard from anyone else. And so, we had a lot of pressure all along the way to create transition shoes and, add a bit here, add a bit there. We had partnership opportunities with big brands who wanted to license, or sort of collaborate with us, but always wanted to just put in a little bit of padding and just, taper off the toes a little bit. And, I think in fairness, in the beginning, when we were, perhaps our principles were still getting formed, this guy really was a powerful filter for us because, it is based on first principles science of gravity and stability. So even when all the cards were stacked against us, we just had a very powerful filter, I think, and a very powerful educator that kept us on the straight and narrow.
What's his name again?
Lee Saxby.
Lee Saxby. Okay. S-A-X-B-Y. I'm sorry, S-A-X-B-Y?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And so then it wasn't until 2012 that we then really launched VIVO as a standalone brand. And that's when we really, felt educated ourselves and really went for it. With Lee, actually, we set up a network of coaches all over the world to embark on the kind of education program. We also were then, the big moment for us, and it was a really positive moment, but also almost the end of us, was when we knew a bit of research was coming out of Harvard, to your earlier point about scientific research, that showed that running in padded shoes, there's a study done with the Harvard track team, and it showed running in padded shoes was twice as injurious as running in less padded shoes.
I remember that. I remember the article very well.
Right? And so we thought, fuck, this is the fucking, cigarette moment for the shoe industry. And, we had, 60 Minutes and Newsline. I can't remember what, the big American kind of expose, news channels all lined up. We had the equivalent in the UK lined up. We kind of called our factories and said, are you ready for this? And unbelievably, it just didn't make a single impression. Whereas, Dan Lieberman, the same professor who published a much less dramatic piece of research 2 years previous, that came out in Nature. I don't know if you remember that, but it was literally on 250 front pages of major media outlets all over the world. And this research, 2 or 3 years later, literally kind of didn't make the sort of backlist of Craigslist or something. It was just didn't get, and so all of a sudden, that nearly took us under, because we thought that was going to be this, cataclysmic shift.
Right. But, you prepare for that. You could invest a lot of money into that for it not to pop. You go, okay. All right.
Which is exactly what happened.
Right.
And we were really crawling around on the canvas, spitting blood at that point in the company. And it would have been probably a sensible time to give up.
Okay.
But no, look, by this time though, we'd been really well educated, I think, and just knew, it had gone beyond a business opportunity. It's become a mission in life, I think.
Right.
And especially as the other companies sort of would jump on it and jump off it and were flirting with it, like you said, it just felt even more important to stay at it and keep it real. And still today, Merrell have now come back with more barefoot shoes. New Balance have come back with more barefoot shoes. And it's completely a consumer-driven demand, because the shoe industry itself is still terrified of barefoot. If you go into any now running store or sports store in America, it's full of the opposite of maximalist shoes with ridiculous shoes. You can't believe that they exist. It's not just a little bit of padding; it's a lot of padding.
And I think
You know,
there's even some getting even. I'm even noticing that there's some that are going so maximalist. I guess these marathon runners, I've seen them. It looks like they're running on. It looks like bananas almost. These huge cushion shoes, huge.
yeah, and it's bon- you know, running a marathon on road. There's very few athletes that are able to maintain a correct form and technique over 26 miles. You know, that isn't an incredible. And so, you know, the truth is that most humans do need a hell of a lot of padding to be able to run a road marathon, and we would almost recommend that. And you know, and then, you know, even beyond ultras, it's not a particularly healthy thing to do to run 50 or 100 miles, and you know, it's unsurprising that your body actually can't cope with it and starts to degenerate.
You know, Galahad, we put, like, I don't know if you share a philosophy, but, and this is how I always try to help people simplify, because it's all the information and research, people get inundated. And it's like, if you put the human body in nature as it was designed, we're meant to be living on dirt, barefoot, with a fucking leaf over our crotch, whatever, and we would run. We would run to catch food. Maybe we'd run a few miles here or a mile here, or bursts, but not over, like, who would run 12 miles, 25 miles? Like, that seems unnatural. And then you throw that on pavement, so which didn't exist back when, in our DNA hasn't changed. This is from the information that I currently am up to date. I may be wrong. So how do you describe to people with running? Okay, barefoot shoes, yes, I wear barefoot everywhere. But running on pavement, we're not designed for it. So you would think that there may be room for a small cushion to negate the density of pavement when you run. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the truth is it's less about the pavement or the substrate. It's more about the athletic ability of the human. And if you have strong, healthy feet and full flexibility in your ankles and your hips, and you're light and you're, you know, fundamentally a strong human, and you haven't, you know, picked up bad movement habits and bad techniques and whatever, then, you know, you can run a long way on any surface. But the truth is, most people are overweight, you know, have picked up bad movement habits and have pretty deformed, weak feet. And if that's the case, you know, we recommend you know, in many ways, the more padding and help you have to be able to run a marathon on concrete, the better.
And how do you advise people to transition into shoes? Because, you know, as you know, we recommend Vivos, and then people get Vivos, so we actually end up being your customer service department for a lot of this, right?
Okay. Well, I very much appreciate it.
And
I guess I'm going to get a bill soon.
Absolutely not. We do it because we're passionate about this. But our mission is to teach people, to empower people to become the expert of their own body. And your story, before we go on, the story you just described about your journey with Vivo from 2004 to present, is there were struggles, there's ups and downs, and along the way, there were so many ways for you to sneak out and move to comfort, which are take this deal to put cushion in the shoes. And I look at your journey, I'm going to relate it, and especially for the listeners out there, that's the same process of what it takes to improve the way your body moves and to gain strength the right way. When you transition into Vivo shoes, it's not going to be the most comfortable at the beginning because your foot's been shut off. But that process of getting through, it's going to be discomfort. There's going to be ups and downs. You're going to have chances of, you're going to want to go, let me just wear these orthotics again. But staying true to that process results in the success. Like the success you're having with Vivo, there was ups and downs. And that's what we tell people when they transition. It's not going to be the easiest thing. It's not meant to be. One of my favorite quotes was from Theodore Roosevelt, my favorite president. And he says, he goes, I've never envied a man who led an easy life, but I've envied many a men who led difficult lives and led them well. And that is the same process about ease and comfort. Taking that route leads to mediocrity, and it leads to you being unable to handle the demands of being an athlete. And so that's my long-winded version about helping people transition into the shoe. They really have to learn. We teach them to learn the mechanics of the foot. But what do you recommend? How do you recommend people? They've never been in a barefoot shoe before. How do you advise that they transition into the shoe to get the most out of it?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the fact is that humans are obviously lazy hedonists, and we're biologically programmed like that. And also, especially sort of the modern world encourages impatience and quick fixes and silver bullets and what. So, we're up against it. But, the big thing we say is like, we almost want to get the discussion away from running and talk about walking. It's walk before you can run. We have a little online tool where people can sort of almost self-diagnose the state of their feet, the flexibility in their movement system through squatting, and understand where you're at, because obviously a light young person who's never worn shoes before it's a massively different journey to an older overweight person who's spent their life in really pointy work shoes and has feet that look like that. So just understand where you're at and try and go through the milestones, because it's absolutely all about just walking around every day with as little shoe as possible, letting gravity take its course. And for some people, but big toe is completely squashed up, the muscles in their feet probably haven't been properly used for years on end, there can be a little bit of pain and struggle to regain the natural shape. But I think, in 95% of the cases, foot rehab is open to all. There's more and more studies showing how people can regain the natural shape of their feet. And just as you were talking about number of steps, you're taking 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And if you start to take those steps in a natural way, it's amazing how the foot very quickly builds back up muscle density. The big toe starts to straighten out. You start to use it again as your pivot and your anchor. And most importantly, in the padding argument, is your brain starts to get accurate information, accurate ground reaction force information, and starts to make better movement decisions.
Ooh, well said. Well said. Foot rehab is open to all. And, this is plantar fasciitis, bunions, heel spurs, all these things. And, most people, the mindset, we always say the mind before movement. You need the mindset to drive, to inspire and motivate you to want to move better and to learn. And people, these plantar fasciitis, flat feet is they focus on, they go, I want my arch, I want to fix this. I want to get rid of this pain. And you've said the word journey a couple times. And we help people focus on improving a little bit today. And that's what I love about your shoes. And I read a book, I don't know if you heard of it, it's called Switch, How to Change When Change is Hard. And it talks about developing habits. And one of the easiest types of habits to adopt is called an instant habit. Meaning, if you put VIVO barefoot shoes on, you cannot walk the way you were walking. You cannot heel strike the way you were heel striking. You must walk slower and control your foot, your descent, your angles, and it allows you to play with your foot and to play and to grab. And that instant habit right there is actually, it's so fun to use your feet the way they were designed. Like in the cushioned shoes, it's not fun. Your foot is just this object that swings around like a fucking club. VIVO shoes, barefoot shoes, forget the VIVO shoes, barefoot it allows you to grip the ground and feel the contours, and life becomes this fun game, and you find yourself feeling like a hunter almost in like the mall, where you're like tiptoeing and you're like playing with your feet. And that process, like you said, is it starts from the second you wake up and it goes all day long. It's not what you do in the gym. That's a mistake that people have. The gym is 1/24 of the day. The rest is what matters.
True that. There's actually a neuroscientist in California. I think he's out of the university.
Well, I'm losing you a little bit
and
here.
He's done a lot of studies.
Can you say that one more time? Yeah, could you go over that one more time, who that was?
There's a guy I think he's out of San Francisco University, called Dr. Mezenich. And he's done a lot of studies to show, connection of the brain and the feet. And he's done a lot of studies to show how basically walking around in a concrete world in padded shoes, where your brain is designed to get vital information from every step. And every step is a vital one that actually, brings a big amount of sort of vitality to the whole system. When you're walking around in padded shoes in a concrete world, that part of the brain he's shown is literally can start to atrophy, and he links it to, and he started to make links to things like Alzheimer's disease. That your brain works less well, and as your whole body works less well when you use your feet less naturally.
Unbelievable. A specific part of the brain. He's actually finding that it's atrophy. That is amazing, and that is completely logical.
It's the same size as the part of your brain that gets information from your feet is the same size as the part of your brain that gets information from your hands. And and the system's designed to get us 3 times as much input as it does give output. So if you cut off all that input, then the brain almost gets confused and is like looking for information, and as a result, the whole thing starts to work less well because as you know, a huge part of the brain is dedicated to movement, and if we were to never move again, we'd have much smaller brains.
Wow, very, very well. I'm excited about look. Is it Mezenich? Mezenich?
Yeah, I think it's Mezer.
Mezer. Okay. Mezenich.
Yeah, and I think he's got some cool like YouTube videos and stuff like talking about all this stuff. I've tried to get hold of him a couple of times, honestly, and never managed it. Apparently, it's very difficult to get hold of. So if you ever do, please let me know.
Done. You know what? I will put Katie. You talk to Katie. I think you emailed Katie. She is like the hound. That woman. She gets right to people that I don't know how. So she will take that challenge.
Awesome.
So, what does the future look like for Vivo in terms of development? Because just so everyone knows as well as listeners, I probably own maybe 20 pairs of Vivos. Every listener know all I wear is Vivos. I don't wear anything else. I wear them as dress shoes. I wear them as workout shoes. I wear them in the water. I even wear the red ones that I love. And I was going to ask you about golf shoes, but I wear the red ones with the real big spikes on the bottom. Those are great golf shoes, actually.
Yep.
I don't know if anyone's told you that, but they're your water shoes.
I use them for golf.
Oh, you're a golfer too?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but I swing sticks from time to time.
What does it look like for you, Galahad, the next 3-4 years regarding Vivo in the direction of the company? Where are you going with this next? What's next? What's exciting in terms of research, product, education? Where are you going with this?
Yeah, I mean, look, first and foremost, we're like 100% dedicated to just making the best barefoot shoes we can, and we're constantly tweaking and updating every material we use, every style, and we obviously have a wide range of shoes from hiking to trail running to road running, gym, everyday work, the whole kids collection. So there's a never-ending just sort of every job to constantly improve the shoes. We've got some cool projects going on in Africa, where we've set up our own sort of social line in Ethiopia, production line in Ethiopia. We're working with the San Bushmen in Namibia and 2 groups in India to bring back kind of some indigenous shoemaking. Obviously, all indigenous shoemaking was always really good barefoot shoemaking. And then at the other end of the scale, we're working on a smart shoe, and we're working with an American company actually who've come out with a plantar pressure plate with sensors that are just one layer of fabric thick. So you can get plantar pressure technology into a shoe and not compromise the barefoot feeling at all. So then you'll be able to get like really cool kind of live feedback in movement. The truth is, most people have a bit of a journey to make back to natural movement. And actually just, having something to encourage really using your big toe and movement like you're saying, and just, starting to enjoy the everyday use of your foot, having a kick in the arse to do that is helpful. So that we're launching that at CES in Vegas on January the 9th. So I'm actually going to be in California for the week before then, if you're kicking around.
Yeah, absolutely. January 9th, you're going to be in Vegas?
I'm going to be in Vegas, and then the week before that, I'm going to be in California, actually, just looking for a hill to fall down.
Oh, I love it. Go out. I'm going to tell you something. We're launching right now we're getting ready to really hit media hard and really to help spread the message that people, because one of our biggest, I guess we do have an enemy, and it is healthcare.
Yeah,
it is, and I'm playing more the fox right now and keeping it quiet by empowering as many people as we can, and teaching them a step-by-step how to improve the way they move their bodies so they can live without pain, and also they can move towards their best possible life. And I'll tell you this, I am so excited to hit the tour, and you're going to see me all over fucking television, and I'm taking VIVO with, just so you know.
Yeah, no, like we're talking about what happened to where did padding come from, and I think it's absolutely linked to the whole rise of the Western medical healthcare system, which has obviously done most people extremely wrong. Yeah. I think America used to have something like 3,000 natural health kind of hospitals, and I think it was Carnegie and Rockefeller that almost created the modern healthcare system as we know, which is sort of obviously based on being able to patent molecules and drive, unbelievable profits. And we've had 100 years of profiteering off patented molecules, which unfortunately, and this sort of illusion that man can emancipate themselves from nature, and the shoe industry is a microcosm of that.
Wow, well said. And when do you know when orthotics, when orthotics hit the scene? Do you know when that was roughly around what time?
I don't know. Probably around the time the capitalists got hold of Dr. Scholl. The orthotics industry is like an unbelievable, money-making machine, and it takes an extremely brave and probably already rich podiatrist to ignore orthotics. I mean, if you imagine you're a podiatrist and your patients come in and you can charge sort of $500. Yep. Most of it you can get back off in insurance in sort of about a 25-minute appointment, and you can crank through sort of hundreds of patients like that at $500 a go, or you could spend an hour prescribing kind of foot rehab exercises that they go and do themselves, and just sort of like you say, just spend more time barefoot. It's a tough thing to persuade a podiatrist to give up that sort of $500 every half an hour kind of routine.
Galahad, I had an option to make. I was in healthcare for 17 years, as my background's chiropractic. I had sports injury clinics, worked with all the PT surgeons, everything. And there came a point, I go, do I turn, and is my mission to improve this healthcare system and to make it so it's results driven and not money driven, or do I just fucking leave and start something else? And when I chose to leave and create and found MoveU, it was like I was so liberated because we built a company for the people. It is built 100% for success, for the person to improve their body, to be inspired, to develop a mindset, to feel a brand, a culture, to gain excitement so they can then learn a system on how to sequentially improve the way their body works, and ultimately pain just disappears. Pain is a byproduct. God, pain is equivalent to people going, I want to get rich. And you'd go, you know what, why don't you would tell them, you go, make something amazing, better than anybody else, and the money will find you. And that is the same with pain. The healthcare is not set up for success. They're unable to inspire people. It's the first step to inspire somebody, to get them excited to learn. It's just not in the system. And we left, and I go, that's it. And I think that's what you're saying with orthotics. It's like healthcare is set up for pain. So the second you're out of pain, the second the patient's out of pain, insurance stops paying. So the whole goal becomes and pain is equivalent to minimum wage. That's what pain-free is. Pain-free is like minimum wage. There's so much more to life than just focusing on that. And orthotics, they just build you a little comfort to the next day. But in school, our school was sponsored by orthotic companies, and they taught us, and we loved them at first. And I was like, oh my God, I was guilty. I was guilty of making $500 on them. I sure was. And I'm like, shit, I saw... You become institutionalized. These doctors become institutionalized because they spend 5 years getting taught by these companies that fund them. So,
I don't mean any personal insult to those doctors, because a lot of people get educated the way they get educated, and it's people have got more the same way that shoe companies have or the owners of little shoe shops have mortgages to pay and things like that.
That's right.
The selling Nikes is a effective way to to do that kind of thing. But as we said in the beginning, it's. But I'm really inspired by both what you're doing, and I think in general in America, I feel like an upswell of a sort of fight back against the healthcare system and the rise of alternative health, because ultimately. There's no question that the best anti-aging program known to humans is just regular natural movement.
Isn't that the truth? It's that simple. And I'll tell you, it is, especially now, Galahad, with social media. We're able to hit 4 million people this week. And we reached 4 million people in 1 week. And to spread a message like that, there's never been a way to do that to this level before. So the truth,
I don't think my shoe business wouldn't have been able to survive without the internet. The shoe industry rejects it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's got to go straight to the people, right? It can't. The industry doesn't allow it.
It's got to go straight to the people. Man, I'm just taking so many sound bites from you. I love this. It goes straight to the people. Straight to the people. Cool.
All the people.
To all the people. Great addendum right there. Because I know your mission is to get Vivos on everybody. Is that right?
No, look, our purpose, as we say it, is just to inspire a reconnection with feet. And I don't know. There's another podcast that by Freakonomics called "These Shoes Are Killing Me," and it featured Irene Davis and Dan Lieberman, who are the two professors at Harvard University and probably the two most notable scientists in America working on kind of bringing back feet. And Irene Davis, who's the biomechanist and the head of the sort of Spalding Running Center or whatever, said in that podcast, I want to launch the decade of the foot and bring back feet to, a consciousness around feet. And, we can just share that mission. I mean, obviously, by making as little, we're, as a shoe company, one of our strategies, we promise to give you less.
That's great. That's clever. I love it. Okay. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else. January 9th out here in Vegas. Okay. Well, I'm so excited to share.
Well, you're in California, right? Perhaps we should do this offline, but I'm going to be in California the week before, sort of coming around New Year and staying for a week, so,
I'll shoot you an email. Cool. On that.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Love it. Okay, so in terms of, last thing I'd like to ask you on this. In terms of education and references, how can people find more of the, people are going to be asking about these resources, about the research. Do you have a specific page on Vivo Barefoot about this? I didn't see it.
Yeah, there's a science page in Vivo, and then you can click into it and find the research papers.
Got it. Write that down. Science.
It's under Explore on the website.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, of course I would say all these things. I'm just a dirty cobbler trying to sell shoes, so to speak. But
so humble. But you are. I could tell you've learned. This journey has been a learning. You've learned so much. You've got to spend time with some of the best researchers.
Yeah, and university. The most powerful one is around kids. I mean, it's a public health scandal that the most Western kids end up at sort of leaving school with pretty weak, deformed feet. And, the whole shoe industry has completely just gone off foot health. There literally is just a fashion business around sort of outfit completers. Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. And it was, and I think a lot of people, because, where the science is complicated around running and around adults, and, we're never going to want to stop, you'll never stop fashion, you'll never stop women wearing heels, and, I don't want women to stop wearing heels. It's great to see women in heels.
Yeah.
Showing off their best bits, but, when they're not wearing heels, and frankly, when they are wearing heels, having strong, healthy feet will help them in heels. But, where the science is pretty irrefutable is around children. And no one can argue that just letting a child's foot develop naturally is a good, positive thing. And, if you want to learn how to move, you watch a 4-year-old running barefoot around a swimming pool, having fun, relaxed, hitting concrete really hard, and their big heads like balancing over their spindly spines, kind of, in perfect alignment, head over hips, over feet, very quick cadence, lots of little steps, super relaxed, smiling. That is natural movement. And, for some reason, we take kids and we put them in a chair and tell them to shut up and sit down and don't move and put them in non-foot-shaped shoes from about the age of 5 or 6. And, wonder why, 80% of people are in chronic pain by the time they get over 50. It's pretty simple.
Pretty simple. And, we think the same with movement is as the foot. And the foot is, what we teach, Galahad, is one of the biggest misconceptions is that when people have a shoulder issue, they think they need only shoulder exercises. Knee pain, knee exercises. Plato, one of my favorite quotes that I live by, his quote is, "The part can't be well unless the whole is well." And if that foot is gripping the ground, then the knee is in proper alignment. When the knee is in alignment, it's held in by the hip. So the hip and foot working together, which aligns in your pelvis. When it goes into a neutral position, then it allows the glute to fire harder and keep the knee straight. When bracing the core, and the shoulder blades keep the body vertical and along that vertical line. And that's what we teach, is full body movement. which is, you call it natural movement. And I think that everybody, and I feel it in you too. It's like I feel myself going, well, how does this start? Where's the root of this? How do we improve this? And you know what? It goes back to the kids. It goes back to it's getting them when they're young, because they're the most simple. That's the most simple age. Everything's developing naturally, and the whole process it's not about restoring. It's about helping them stay improving and keeping their body moving naturally. And I love that you're going that direction, because we sure as hell are.
I'll tell you one last little anecdote. I met like one of the leading kids shoe designers in the world, like designed for all the leading shoe brands and whatever. And I was having this conversation with her, and she said to me, "Yeah, but have you never seen like a foot where?" I said, "Yeah, that's what feet look like." He said, "Yeah, but we don't, we deliberately design children's shoes so that they don't become like that, so that when they're older, they can wear nice leather shoes."
So wait, we kind of broke up a little at the beginning, and I thought I was going to be able to pick up, but I missed the beginning of that.
The famous shoe designer, like one of the most, like probably 55-year-old woman, designed for the biggest brands, especially in Europe, England, France, Germany, said, "Yeah, but have you never seen a foot that's never worn shoes?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. And, that's what I know what a natural foot looks like." She said, "Well, we deliberately design children's shoes so their feet don't become like that, and so when they're older, they can fit into nice leather shoes."
Oh my God!
Which is, it's like it's not far removed from Chinese foot binding, right? I mean, it's literally sort of. And this is like, someone that works for the biggest, supposedly healthy children's shoe companies in the world. And and I sort of said to her, I said, "Look, you do understand what you're saying to me, right? So you are deliberately deforming children's feet so that they can fit into fashionable shoes when they're older." And I asked her at the time, "Do you mind if I quote you back on, because I'm going to." This is like, just sort of priceless almost, and horrendous, in equal measure. And that, that says why I have to do what I have to do, as it were, right?
Wow. When I hear that story, what I really hear though is I hear a woman who does not understand the body and natural movement and mechanics. She doesn't understand it. And that is somebody who I would love to connect with MoveU so she can start watching it, because every little bit that you learn, you become empowered. You go, wow, I had no idea, and it changes perspective. But that's what you're up against, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it's cool. I mean, you've got
lots
of cool exercises on your website, and I'll be definitely pointing a lot of people there to, get realigned.
Do you follow?
Mentally and physically.
Do you follow our Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's obviously fantastic to connect with other people, on the same mission.
I love it. I feel the mission. I'm feeling my job right now is just to keep growing MoveU and keep spreading the truth. And you're right there. I look at you guys. I aspire to move in the direction that you guys are already in. I'm going to get there, and I'll support your journey the whole way, because I know you're out for the right reasons. So I'm excited to succeed with you today, tomorrow, going forward for the next 10 years. And I'll shoot you an email. Love to meet you whenever you're out here in California. We'll figure it out. We'll get together. And I appreciate your time that you took. You're so busy growing this thing. I'm going to get this to as many people as possible. I'm going to feature this on the website under the VIVO Barefoot shoe section. And we're going to keep spreading the word, man. Thanks a lot for your time.
Brilliant. I appreciate it. And, likewise, you're doing an awesome job, an awesome thing, and really happy to connect with you.
All right. Awesome. Have a great day. It's about 10 a.m. You got a big day, a big Monday in front of you.
You too. I hope you get some sleep.
All right. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
You can come back stronger than ever and move without pain through the mental and physical training in the MoveU program. To learn more about the program, simply go to MoveU.com and just scroll up and down the page and learn about it. What are you waiting for? Huh? Do something.